Hello to my wonderful art family. I am here today with a video that has been on my mind for a long time. And the reason why is because I did a video just like this a couple years ago, and I presented to you folks different ways that you can make money as an artist. Now that I've been in the field for a couple more years, I wanted to expound upon that video and hope that this helps people out there. So if you're a student who is trying to figure out, what career path do I want to take? Or maybe you're somebody who just wants to change your career path altogether, or you want a side hustle to pay down student loan debt, or maybe you're like a stay-at-home mom and you just want a part-time job. There's so many reasons that somebody would maybe want to pursue art, and there's a lot of stereotypes that surround art. For instance, you may have heard the term starving artist, and I think that term really intimidates people and entices fear when it comes to entering art careers. So I kind of want to shatter that stereotype for you and let you know that there are so many options available to you. I am going to list 30 different options in this video because there are so many ways that you can make money as an artist, and there are so many niche areas that don't really get talked about. So some of these ideas that you're going to see in this video are maybe more common ones that you already knew about, and some may be pretty eye-opening. Now, this video isn't going to dive into the specifics of every career that I'm going to mention, but my goal here is that this gets the wheels turning in your mind and maybe piques your interest in certain types of art careers that you can enter. And you're gonna find with this list too, art is a very flexible field. So I might mention a couple things on this list that interest you, and you might notice that there's an ability to have some crossover. For instance, I do YouTube, but I also have a shop and I do a lot of other things too. And yeah, that's what's really cool about art is you can kind of intertwine multiple areas and kind of create your own career path with it. So keep that in mind. If any of these things interest you, I totally encourage you to grab a pen or pencil and write them down. And then at the end of this video, I'm going to present you with a resource that I think would be super helpful for anybody who has an interest in art. And I'm also going to list a bunch of resources in my video description, and I'll link some other YouTubers down below too, because yeah, I hope this helps you. That's really what I'm here to be doing today. I'm just gonna preface this by saying we're touching the tip, the very tip of the iceberg. There are hundreds, if not thousands, of other artistic career options out there, but for the sake of time, I'm only going to name 30 of them. So yeah, if you see something you like at the end of this video, totally do your research on it and, ask yourself, is this something that interests me? Oh, this looks so exciting. Let's look into it more. And with that, I think creatives love talking about what they do. So if you do find certain areas that you like, find people who do those things already and ask them questions like, hey, how did you get started with this? Or what's your favorite or least favorite part about what you do? Do you have advice for somebody who wants to get started in this career field? If you could go back in time, what would you do differently? Those are really good questions to ask other people in career fields that you're interested in. That doesn't even just go for art anyway. Let's get started, because this is going to be a really long video. But I hope it's really informative for you, and I hope it gets you really excited about art. As you can see, I love what I do. I'm radiating joy right now because I get to talk about this and hopefully help some of you folks out there. And yeah, now I typed out a Word document and put a lot of research into this video. So if you see me looking down a lot, that is because I'm referring to this document. I don't want to miss certain details. So the first thing that you can do to make money as an artist. This one is seems like common knowledge, but I think I want to put this as number one just to give you a good reminder and prep you for everything else that's coming. And that is just to create more and to practice and build your foundation as an artist. And the reason why I'm saying this is because It is so important to have a portfolio when you enter an art field. You want to show people what you're capable of doing. If you are a style hopper like me, and maybe one day you're doing realism and the next day you're doing like illustrations, you may want to have that in your portfolio because that's going to show potential clients that you are a very flexible, versatile artist and you are capable of doing many things that can attract a lot more people to you and get you potential work in the future. Also, it's just really nice to have a portfolio, especially if you're going to pitch your work to potential clients in the future. That's going to get you a lot further than just an email. It's going to add a layer of professionalism to what you do. It's a good building block. Like, don't skip that one. Seriously, keep creating. Anything you really like and you feel passionate about, consider adding it to your portfolio. You can divide your portfolio into sections. Like say you do realism and you do family portraits, pet portraits, maybe you do like still lifes. You can have like multiple sections in your portfolio. And I know it sounds silly, but it is going to be the building block for a lot of the things that I'm gonna say later in this video. You can't really get work without showing work that you've already done, you know? Number 2 is private art lessons. If you enjoy helping other people learn a new skill, and maybe there are kids in your neighborhood who are really interested in art, or you just have friends who wanna up their skill level, private art lessons are a really great way to connect with people one-on-one, or you could connect with people in groups and you can help them in person or through Zoom and build up their art skills. Now, I think private art lessons is a really good option for people who enjoy teaching, but they don't necessarily have a degree. And I was gonna say that because with art, I really don't think you need to go to art school to be successful. Like a lot of artists I know never went to art school, myself included. And I think just through experience and learning and applying yourself, you can gain so much wisdom over the years. And to be able to teach that to another individual is such a huge gift. So yeah, this is definitely a really great one to keep in mind. When I was younger, there was a girl in my town who gave private art lessons, and she painted portraits of football players. And she was super successful, and I always wanted to take lessons from her, but I was too afraid. And it is still one of my regrets to this day, because she did awesome portraits. Okay, so the next one that I'm going to mention is super trendy right now, and there is a high demand for artists in this field, and that is live wedding painting. So what exactly is live wedding painting? Well, you basically go to a wedding venue and you can go there well before the wedding starts and just block in what you see. That means like if the bride and groom want you to paint the ceremony, you can block in all the seats and the stage and everything. And then when the wedding starts and people file in, you quickly paint all the people. You paint the bride and groom, you paint the people sitting in the audience, and then the bride and groom have a really meaningful keepsake for later in life. I've seen this also done with the reception, like the first dance. This is a really special thing, and it is super trendy right now with weddings. And there's definitely a high demand for live wedding painters. I have a friend who does this, and her artwork is phenomenal. She kind of does like an impressionistic style, and it is in such demand that like I'm pretty sure she's booked out for an entire year right now. So some pros about this one is you get to go to so many weddings, and I just think weddings are such happy events. Like, what? You get to see one of the best days of somebody's life, you know? And another thing, it pays very, very well, like super well. Another thing is it's in high demand, so you would probably have a steadier stream of work and a stream of income when it's peak wedding season. Now the cons about this is you lose your weekends, especially if you're gonna book a Friday, Saturday, and Sunday wedding. That's like your whole weekend is gone. And another con about this is, you know, when wedding season slows down, you might not have work at that particular time of year. Number 4, This one is a very well-known one, and I think a lot of artists do this. It is commissions. So if you don't know what commissions are, it's basically you are opening up yourself to create artwork for whatever people essentially request. Now, I've seen artists do this for, I will draw you anything for whatever price, And then some artists, they really narrow it down to what they enjoy creating. For instance, if you don't enjoy like fantasy type of work or cartoonism, you may advertise to potential customers, hey, I will draw a portrait for this price. If there are multiple people in the drawing or painting, it is this price. If you want it to be full color, it is this price. And there's different pricing options. That is typically the route that I see many artists take, is they curate their commissions around what they enjoy creating, because it is not fun when maybe you really enjoy doing portraits or you really love landscapes, and then somebody comes at you and they're like, hey, can you draw me a picture of Spider-Man with like 5 squirrels on the shoulder and a rainbow in the background and like 3 butterflies all around? And you're like, have you looked at the work that I do? Like, do you think I do this? I think commissions are something that people either really like or they don't like. I will be honest, I learned straight from the beginning that I hate commissions. Like, I loathe it. I hate when people tell me what to draw or paint, or when they request that I draw or paint a certain thing, because I feel like it strips me of the enjoyment of creating. So I do not do commissions personally, but I see so many artists who absolutely adore doing this. So that's just something you kind of have to weigh out if you think you're the type of person who would enjoy it or not. And then you kind of have to figure out how you're going to price yourself, Like, are you going to charge half up front and then half when you deliver the artwork, or how are you going to go about it? I'm mentioning that because I think that's one of the downfalls with doing commissions. A lot of artists get frustrated over payment methods, and talking about payments can get a little murky, especially if you're doing like a commission for a friend or maybe somebody you've never met on the internet before. So definitely do your research and figure out how you would want to charge your customers. Number 5, this one I'm so excited about. It's something that's been on my bucket list for a really long time. So I'm gonna recommend it to you folks because I think many of you out there would be capable of doing this as well. And that is teaching art classes on Skillshare. You've probably heard me mention Skillshare in the past. This is not a sponsored video. I actually want to talk about the other side of Skillshare right now. And this side doesn't really get talked about a lot because I think a lot of people don't really know that this is a career option that's available to them, but you can teach classes on Skillshare. If you watch art videos on YouTube, you may have noticed over the years that tutorials don't happen a whole lot anymore on this platform. And there's a reason for that. I think the algorithm doesn't really push art tutorials very much, and the way YouTube pays people, they don't really compensate you super fairly if you're going to be doing a ton of research and pouring tons and tons of time into a video to teach people a certain type of art. Art takes a really long time, and so does all the research and everything. If you want to work for well below minimum wage, then by all means, upload your stuff on YouTube if you want to do a class or a tutorial. I think Skillshare compensates people a lot more fairly for their time and the amount of work that they're putting forth for classes and tutorials. So I'm going to recommend that one. Some of my YouTube friends have actually done classes over on Skillshare. If you've ever heard of Kendall Hilgis, Chloe Rose Art, Jazza, they all have classes over there. And I just think it's a really great platform. I take classes quite a bit on the platform, and I think because my experience with that has been so great, I really want to teach on there too. And again, this is not sponsored. I'm just talking about them because I genuinely like them. My hope is that I can, sometime within the next 2 years, teach a class on there. I really want to do a class on painting water and a class potentially on drawing realistic eyes, but we'll see. I'm not making promises. Number 6, create your own fonts and sell them. So this one, I feel like it's not talked about a lot, but if I'm being honest, I got like really obsessed with this one for like over a year. Let me just show you. I bought this book and I started I still have practice sheets in here. I was buying like calligraphy pens and just doing tons and tons of letters and just practicing. I got font software. I got like really into this, and I still really like messing around with font design. I think it's a really fun type of art, and I don't think it gets a lot of attention, so I'm gonna bring it to your attention. Creating and selling fonts is really cool because once you have a font made, you're essentially generating a passive income for X amount of time. But I do want to talk about font design a little bit. It is a very tedious thing, and if you go into font design, I highly recommend investing in a quality software to help you create your fonts. There are many free font design programs out there, but the issue with free programs is they don't calculate like kerning, which is the spacing between each letter, and just other things that you're really gonna need to know if you want to sell your fonts professionally. And another thing is designing fonts is very tedious. Like, first of all, there's so many different types of fonts out there that you're gonna have to learn about, and different like rules for some of them. And another thing is, like, say you want to do a font in regular, bold, italics, that's gonna take you some time. Some font designers spend months just on one font, like months, because there's so much to it. But the cool thing is, as I said, once you're done with it, you have passive income, and you can charge a set amount for personal use for your fonts, and then you can really upcharge that for commercial use. Like, say a business wants to use your font, or like some company wants to use it in a commercial, then like, boom, you can like upcharge that, you know? So definitely something to consider. I will put this book in the description of this video, but I would also recommend finding better books, because I don't think I would like recommend this as the #1 font design book. If you're curious about different font software that's available, Glyphs is a really well-known one, Font Lab Studio, Fontographer, RoboFont. There's so many other ones, so do your research, find what works for you. If you have a Mac and a PC, make sure you do your research too, because some, I think, only work on certain ones. I'm just touching on that one. There's so much more to font design, and that could be a complete video in itself, but it is a really fun one. I have some businesses that are not attached to Mira Byler at all, and I have sold fonts in the past. I'm not very good at it, but it is something that I enjoy. So I do it whenever I feel like doing it. Number 7, illustrate children's books. Or you can do book sleeves, book covers, chapter pages. There are so many options available to you within this category. And it doesn't even mean that you need to stay within the children's book genre. You can expand upon that and apply this to so many other types of books out there. Just find what interests you and yeah, look around and see what you can do. The next one, if you are interested in helping people, especially like medically or with mental health, then art therapy may be a good option for you. So let me tell you a little bit about it. According to the American Art Therapy Association, art therapy is an integrative mental health and human services profession that enriches the lives of individuals, families, and communities through active art making, creative process, applied psychological theory, and human experience within a psychotherapeutic relationship. In other words, you get to help people, and this is so, so cool. So art therapists are master level clinicians. What does that mean? It means you need a master's degree, a little bit of education for this one, but it is so cool, and let me tell you a little bit more about it. So they follow ethical guidelines to help a broad range of individuals. So this means art therapists seek to help people who are navigating issues with mental health, who are maybe facing medical challenges, and people who just want to grow spiritually and emotionally. What's really cool about art therapy too is you can work in a broad range of places. For instance, veterans clinics, crisis centers, hospitals, schools, senior living facilities. There are so many options for this one, and the beauty of it is you get to pour into other people and help them navigate things with their own life while actively creating artwork. And I just think that's so beautiful. I always tell people in my videos that art can be so therapeutic, and I try to encourage people to have a creative outlet. And while I am not an art therapist, the field of art therapy, I just think that is so amazing. And if I had a master's degree in this is definitely something that I would consider pursuing. So again, the pros, you get to help people. And the cons, you do have to pursue higher education. So if that intimidates you or you feel like that doesn't fit your timeline, then that's something to consider. Number 9, sell your artwork in your own online shop. Now, I have a lot to say about this one, so I'm going to dive a little bit deeper into this than other categories that I have mentioned thus far in my video because, I read your comments, I read your messages on Instagram, and I know many of you are very interested in this particular category, so I want to kind of give some tips on how to get started with this. So one of the most common questions that I get with, selling your own artwork and merchandise in your own shop is, well, who do you use for a manufacturer? How do I find a manufacturer? And I want to set this question aside and tell you information that I think would be a lot more helpful than what manufacturer should I use? Because I do not think if you're starting out, that is a good place to start. So here is why. When I first decided to start selling my artwork in my store, I was on Etsy at the time, and getting started with selling your work can be very expensive if you go through a manufacturer. I am putting that as a huge warning because many manufacturers will have a minimum for a certain design. Say you want to do sweaters, or say you want to do enamel pins. You will run into manufacturers that say, I will not print this design for you unless you do a minimum of 50, 100, sometimes they even say 1,000, depending on the size of the company. Now, there are companies out there who don't have these minimums, but you're gonna pay a lot higher up front. So the reason why I'm gonna tell you to probably stay away from manufacturers if you're just starting out is because that's going to be a really expensive upfront cost for just one design. And if you're just starting out, you have no data yet to see, how is this item going to sell? Is there a demand for this thing? And that's really scary. That's a big risk to just jump into that, especially with just one item. So let me share with you what I did when I first started out. And I really hope that this is helpful to many people out there because I really, really want small businesses to succeed. And I just think this is a safer route to take. So when I first started out, I invested in a really good printer. I got a Canon Pixma Pro 10. I believe the Canon Pixma Pro 100 is a better model to use, but when I did this, it was years ago. Things have totally changed in the printing industry since then. Epson has really upped their game with printers, so just saying, you should also look into Epson printers, figure out what works for you. This was really helpful for me because I had a printer, which means I could print my artwork as the orders came in, and my investment up front was the printer and the ink and the paper. That was the risk. So that allowed me to upload so many more designs to my shop because I didn't have that overhead cost of paying somebody else to make my products for me. I was making them myself, and I was making them as my orders came in. Because of that, my store had a lot more variety, and I was actually getting more sales and more revenue because there were so many more options for customers to choose from. Now, I also did this for stickers. I got a Cricut maker to cut my stickers out. There are so many cutting machines out there these days too, like the Silhouette, the Brother. I think the list goes on now. I think the market for that has really grown since I was in it. But I was able to do the same thing. I printed my stickers, I cut my stickers. I had tons of designs. And I was controlling that because I was the one making them. So the overhead cost was not very high, and I was able to appeal to a broader range of customers because of that. I also invested in a button press to make pin back buttons. And again, that printer. I printed the button designs, I put them in my button press, I pulled that lever, I watched so many movies as I was making my buttons. And yeah, those 3 tools really helped me when I was starting out. So if you're an artist and you have a vision of starting a store, I totally recommend that you invest in equipment that you can make the stuff yourself, because I think that's going to give you a lot more opportunity in the beginning, and the overhead cost is going to be so much lower. Now, a little hack, if you go through Canon for printers, if you buy the Canon brand ink from Canon's website, it is a little pricier, but if they have not changed their ways, it's been a couple years since I've done this. I used to layer coupons, and what that did for me was it got me so much free paper. I think with each order, I was getting 5 to 10 packs of free paper. Some of them were just samples, but others were full packs of paper. And this was really helpful for a small business like me with a low budget, because I got to explore so many different paper types and paper sizes to find what worked for my type of artwork. For instance, when I first started, I was doing glossy prints, and then through all those free samples and couponing, I discovered, I think I like semi-gloss. Kept exploring. Nope, I like matte. I like matte for my prints. And I went with that. But I had so much paper, and I never had to pay for paper with selling my prints because I used all those coupons. So couponing, really great when it comes to, ordering ink and stuff like that. So make sure you compare on different websites and see what you can get. But with a small budget, yeah, that stuff really adds up. Now, when I first started, I did make stickers and pins ahead of time, and then I printed the prints as they came in. But with my stickers and my pins, I only stocked around 5 to 15 of each item in my store because I was such a small business. I had no way of knowing how well something would do. And that's the beauty of being your own manufacturer. You can stock such small quantities. It gives you so much power as a small business. So that is my side rant. I totally recommend that. And if you have questions about that sort of thing, again, I'm going to put artists down below on YouTube that typically talk about those sorts of things, because I hope that helps you. And if you get to a point where, say, you've grown really big and you really want to start outsourcing, the first thing I recommend doing is looking around you. Hey, do I have any friends who know how to operate a printer, or any friends who know how to use a Cricut? Can I pay them in their side time to do this for me? I did that with one of my best friends, and it's been a couple years now, and to this day, he still makes a lot of stuff for my shop. And he lives a couple hours away, so he just mails it to me. But we text back and forth. I can order low quantities of things, and it is super helpful for me. So yeah, do that and try to look into small businesses in your area, because I think that other small businesses who do manufacture products, they understand other small businesses and they want to help them, and they will work with you a lot better than these giant manufacturing companies that you see on the internet. So keep that in mind. But if you grow really big and you're ready to find manufacturers, type in the things that you're looking for and just, bulk printing services or printing manufacturers, whatever. And just poke around and try different ones. Message them, figure out their values, compare prices. And anyway, I could talk about this section for a long time, but I hope that everything I just mentioned is really helpful for folks who are thinking about starting an art store. And I hope this gives you a good place to start. I will link some other artists down below who make YouTube videos and they talk about this sort of thing. And yeah, I hope it helps you. Number 10 is digital imaging and photo retouching or photo restoration. I think this one is very overlooked these days because there's so many apps out there that people can use to touch up their faces and stuff, but it goes far beyond that. So let me ask you this. Do you enjoy using Photoshop? Do you like to do weird stuff in Photoshop or any other drawing program or photo editing program? Say you enjoy removing somebody from a picture or turning a photograph into some fantasy land that looks magical. This is a really cool one. And this is actually a career path that people can take. This means that you can manipulate and alter photographs to meet clients' needs. And there are many fields that demand this, actually. Like, say a client wants an entirely different background for a photo, or maybe they just want something simple like color correction. This is a really cool opportunity. I think one of the most well-known types of photo retouching is probably when you think of getting graduation pictures taken or wedding pictures or family photos, and then the photographer retouches it afterward. That is one direction that you can take with this, but there's so many more, because with any professional photo shoot, there's always retouching that's going to take place afterward. As I said, think of family photos or senior photos, stuff like that. There's always a demand for that. But then you can go beyond that and think of advertising. There's always a need for photo retouching, the beauty industry, publishing, and so much more. So yeah, this is a really cool one, and you can use your artistic side to bring some oomph to some photos. Number 11, sell your artwork on websites that manufacture and ship products for you. So I just mentioned kind of like being your own manufacturer when you start an art business, and I highly recommend that. But if you are like super passionate and you want to do like sweaters and mugs and shower curtains and rugs and tote bags and all that stuff, and you don't know where to start, and maybe you don't have the budget to outsource to a huge manufacturing company, this is going to be what I'm going to recommend for you just starting out. So if you have a small budget but you want to sell your work on other stuff, there are websites like Spoonflower. And what Spoonflower is they sell like wallpapers, peel and stick wallpapers with specific patterns on them that people can buy and put on their walls. And artists like you and me, they make those. They sell fabric. That's a really big one. Spoonflower is pretty well known and it's been growing for years. Redbubble is another one that people use. That one focuses a lot on like apparel, like shirts, hoodies, sweatshirts. As I said, like bags, shower curtains, the list goes on. There's so many other websites too. I can't name them all for lack of time. But yeah, like YouTubers, they use Teespring. That's a really great one. I use Teespring. This is really great, except there are some cons to it, so I'm going to be upfront with you. If you let another company manufacture your stuff and they're shipping it, you have to keep in mind that they are doing a lot of the physical labor. So that's great for you in the sense that you're not going to have a lot of overhead costs. It's pretty much free for you. This is passive income, and we love passive income as artists because that is a steady stream of income when other things slow down. However, the cons, when you have other companies manufacturing and shipping your work, the profit goes down a lot. If you are manufacturing and shipping stuff yourself, you get to set that price and the upfront cost of everything is a lot lower. But these other companies, they're going to take their profit cut first. And many sites let you choose the profit margin that you want. But the downfall with this is like those websites are already so saturated with other art, and there's thousands of artists on these sites, and you have to compete with their prices. You just have to weigh out if that's worth it for you. I did it for a while, and I just kind of found like it wasn't really worth it for me because I felt like I was just making pennies, even though I got like good sales. But again, passive income is passive income, and anything helps, right? Now, along that same vein, number 12, sell your artwork as digital prints on websites like Etsy. There's design bundles, there's Creative Market. There's so many other websites that allow you to sell your digital artwork. So that means you can sell prints, or you can sell just digital elements that people can use for graphic design purposes. There's always a really big demand for these. Some websites, there's low competition. You can pretty much sign up and sell your stuff. Other websites like iStock Photo, you're gonna have to submit examples of your work, and it's a lot harder to get on those sites. So just keep that in mind, weigh out what you wanna do. This is really nice though, because again, no overhead fees. Now, if you're doing Etsy, you will have to pay listing fees, but it's like pennies, so it's not a lot. Other sites that I have mentioned, they don't charge listing fees, so you can do whatever route you want. But the nice thing about this is you are not shipping anything. The customer downloads your artwork, and that is it. So this is essentially another form of passive income, and it's a really great thing to take advantage of as an artist. I always try to make sure I diversify my income. That is super important to me. Again, I have businesses that are not related to Mira Byler, and a lot of those are focused around passive income and selling digital downloads, because that is really helpful to my income and my career. And diversifying like what I do keeps my job interesting too, like it's more fun. So the pros, little to no overhead fees. The cons, the profit margin can be pretty low because this is a very saturated market these days, and you're gonna have to compete with a lot of other people. But just like with fonts, you can set prices for like personal use only, and then really upcharge for commercial use with digital downloads. So that's a really cool thing to consider. And yeah, I'm just gonna say that. Number 13, sell your artwork at craft fairs and conventions. Where are my extroverted folks? Do you enjoy talking to people and connecting with your community, meeting new people in town, maybe traveling and meeting people in other states? If you said yes to any of these things, then you may really enjoy selling your artwork at craft fairs and conventions. I think this is a really cool way to engage with your local community. And even if your first couple craft fairs or conventions flop and you don't sell a lot, you still have the opportunity to meet people, to make connections, to network, and people are gonna remember you because they met you face to face. That may open up career opportunities to you later, so this is just a really great thing all around. So if you do sell your artwork in person at these events, make sure you have business cards. Make sure your business cards have your email and your social media so people can find you later. And if you have a shop online, make sure your business card has that too, because they might look you up later and buy your stuff. Number 14, I think is one of the coolest ones. And if I wasn't doing all the artistic things that I was already doing, I would consider this as a career option. Biological and medical illustration. I'm mostly going to talk about medical illustration for this one, but if you're curious about biological illustration, look it up. Have you ever been reading a textbook and you come across a passage that's a little confusing, but then you see this beautifully illustrated image next to it, and you look at the image and then you're like, huh, I get it now. Like, ions flow that way in the human body, and that's why this happens. That's so cool, right? This happens in like other subjects in textbooks too. But my point is, this is a career field and artists make those images. So according to the Association of Medical Illustrators, medical illustrations and animations are meant to convey information that words alone cannot. And I just think, wow, we really need artists in this world. Like, they're helping people learn really cool things that are not pertaining to art. The median salary for a medical illustrator or animator in the United States is $70,650, so it is a very well-paying career. Now, medical illustrators and animators go far beyond just textbook illustration too. You can find their work in museums, peer-reviewed articles, advertisements, with patient care. There are so many places that you can find medical illustrations. This is actually a very competitive career because medical illustrators typically have a master's degree from an accredited program, and within the United States, I believe there's only 3 accredited programs at the moment and 1 in Canada. This could have changed by now, but from the last time I read about it, that was the information that I got. And it's very competitive to get into these schools, but it's a really cool career option if you enjoy both art and science. I'm recommending this one because my husband is a doctor and we both kind of geek out over art and science together. Number 15, repurpose or upcycle old objects and just add some artistic flair. I think this is a really creative way to eliminate waste. And a really cool thing with this one too is the overhead costs are pretty minimal because you're taking thrifted objects, or you can be like my mom, she does this. If there is furniture that people are throwing away and they set it at the curb, in her town it is legal to come along and just take that furniture. So she takes a lot of furniture from people's street curbs and then she redoes it, and she puts a coastal spin on it, and she'll put crackle paint and new drawer pulls and stuff like that, and nautical rope and stuff all over the furniture. And then she resells it for really good money. It's a really cool side hustle for her. And yeah, I just think this one is worth mentioning. You can do this with more than just furniture too. I have friends who thrift jean jackets and then they paint pictures on the back and they sell them. It's just so cool. Number 16, make YouTube videos. So this one is probably my favorite on the list because this is what I do full time. I love making YouTube videos because it gives me this unique opportunity to connect with people all over the world. And I just think that's such a blessing to meet people from all different walks of life, all different ages, all over the globe, and we can connect because we share this interest in art. I think making YouTube videos is also really cool because you can set your own schedule, you can work from home, and it's a really great career opportunity if you are introverted like me. I think if you are going to do YouTube, you should not do it for the purpose of I want to do this to make money. The reason why I did YouTube, I started out in college and it was my creative outlet. When I was pursuing a biology degree, I needed something different to shift my brain after class to just do something fun. And so this was a fun hobby for me. And eventually that hobby grew and I caught vision for encouraging other people to have a creative outlet, which is why on my channel, I'm just silly. I try different stuff and I tell people to have fun with their art and to be kind to themselves. And I think if I didn't have that vision, I probably wouldn't be as driven to do YouTube. I just like the idea of inspiring others to have a creative outlet. Now with YouTube, it's really easy to put pressure on yourself. So also just make sure you're having fun and doing what you're passionate about. The algorithm can kind of ruin the fun of YouTube for people sometimes, and that can be frustrating, but you have to be able to take the highs and lows that come with YouTube. Sometimes the algorithm will pick you up and you will do really well with views, which means you get paid really well, and then other times it crashes and it's a slow time. But if you can ride both the highs and the lows, this is a really fun and rewarding career opportunity. I don't make millions of dollars. I'm not a huge YouTuber, but I do this because my heart is in it and I really, really love it. Also with YouTube, I want to say, if you're going to go the art route, I'm going to just put a fair warning right here and tell you how it is. Filming and everything, it looks really fun because like what you guys see is the finished product. I have already drawn the piece or painted the piece. I have edited. I have tinkered with all my equipment, but there's so much behind the scenes that you're not seeing. And the creating art part of it is only about 10 to 20% of my job. Filming is like the quickest part, and then everything else takes a lot of time. For instance, I run a camera right up above me, and then I run this camera, and I move this camera all around. So I have to constantly keep an eye on two cameras while I film. I have a mic under my shirt. I have to make sure the mic is running well. I have to do sound tests. I have to move my lights around and make sure everything is good. If I'm doing a voiceover, I have to change which mic I'm using because this one sounds better for voiceovers. And then I have to edit my footage. That means I have to fine-tune the audio after I film. I have to do color correction. I have to cut out all my bloopers and all the like tedious things that nobody wants to see. Yeah, there's a lot that goes into it. So only 10 to 20% is actually the art. But if you love the whole process, it is totally worth it. And then connecting with you folks afterwards, it just about makes my heart explode. So I love what I do. So I'm gonna say some pros and cons about this. The pros, pretty much everything I just said. I love everything about YouTube pretty much. Now the cons, the algorithm can suck sometimes. The pay fluctuates throughout the year, but if you don't do it for the money, then it's fun. The other thing is, if you are just starting out, it is going to be hard to make money at first because YouTube has certain requirements for monetization. I believe right now you need 1,000 subscribers and 4,000 hours of watch time before you are approved for monetization on your channel. What monetization is, it is the ads that you see in videos, and that's what makes video creators money. And if you hate ads, keep in mind that video creators work well over 40 hours a week to bring you free content, so you should appreciate those ads because most video creators are bringing you things out of the love of their heart and the passion that they have for whatever video category that they're in. Anyway, that is what I will say about YouTube. Just kidding. Number 17, we're going to talk about YouTube again. If you do YouTube, networking is so important. So I'm going to talk about this one because there's so much misinformation with networking, and I just kind of want to clear some of that up and make both viewers and people who potentially want to do YouTube aware of some of these things. So there are different types of networking. The first one that comes to mind is collaborating. Sometimes you'll see your favorite creators working together, like Super Ray Dizzle's collaborating with Jazza. Oh, this is so cool. And then people really like that. And you're exchanging audiences, you're doing artwork together. That's a cool way to collaborate and get the community involved together. But there's another type of networking called brand deals. You may have heard the term sponsorship or partnership. I think this one gets a lot of hate, and there's probably good reason for it, but I also just want to clear some stuff up with this one. If you're a YouTuber, this is a very useful thing for you, but I'm gonna say you have to be picky, like be super, super picky about who you work with, and make sure above all else, you put your integrity and your honesty first. Because once you start making videos and you're getting views, you're gonna get approached by a lot of brands in your email, and that can be exciting, but it's gonna be a mix of like brands you've never heard of before, startup brands you really don't care for, and then like well-known ones that you really are passionate about. And I think when creators are first approached by all these companies who want to potentially work with them, it can be both overwhelming and exciting and tempting to take everything that comes your way. But I do not advise you to do that at all because, first of all, you have to put your viewers first. Like, your viewers are not just numbers. They're not here to just line your pockets. Like, they're actual people. And when you create videos, you're taking on an immense responsibility, because the moment you recommend a brand, you're becoming an influencer, and you are influencing these actual humans who are watching your videos. So be really picky about who you work with. Don't just recommend a brand just because you're getting paid to say their name or advertise their product in a video. I think the art community handles sponsorships very well, and I'm so proud of them for that. I just think the art community, we really value honesty, and I don't think we would recommend something to you folks if we didn't like it. So I'm just gonna be transparent with you. With brand deals, okay, say YouTube is really slow one month, but I take a brand deal, like that can fully supplement my income. And that's really, really nice. But I am so picky with who I work with. I accept less than 1% of brands that come my way. When I do decide to work with a brand, it is a company that I already use, I already love, I get along with the people behind the scenes, and I just feel passionate about it. And like, I have to feel passionate about it enough to recommend to my audience, because that's really important. Like, I don't want to just line my pockets and recommend something that I don't care about, because that's not being true to myself. I know this isn't like a type of art, but yeah, I just wanted to mention this one anyway, because it does overlap with YouTube, and there's a lot of murky gray area with this, but put your honesty and your integrity first. Like, I hardly ever do sponsored videos pertaining to art supplies, because I want to use what I want to use. And you guys know me, I like Winsor & Newton, Arteza, golden acrylic paints, Prismacolor, Caran d'Ache. I stick with like a pretty decent rotation of art supply brands, and I don't really stray that much anymore. So like, if a brand that I've never heard of comes out of nowhere, like, I'm not accepting that sponsorship. I'm gonna use what I like to use, and I'm gonna tell my people what I like to use. Like, I wanna be real. But the reason why I am mentioning networking also is because, say you work with a brand for a year, you have a contract, which you need to have a contract if you do sponsorships. It protects you and it protects the brand, but say you work with them for like a year, and then down the road, they remember that relationship they had with you, and they're like, hey, do you want to work together on a product with me? Like, your art can go on the packaging of our marker boxes, and your name will be all over that. That's a cool collaboration. So it does open opportunities to you down the road, and I think it's really cool. Okay, let's dive into marketing for a little bit. Number 18, market yourself shamelessly. Shamelessly, just market yourself. What does that mean though? Social media, it is a very important thing. And having your artwork on social media can be very helpful, because say you do YouTube, that can drive views to your channel. So people are gonna see how you make your art, they're gonna watch your videos, and that can get you revenue both from views on your channel, and say people see that art and then they wanna buy it. That can get you money in your online shop. See, all these things can just intermingle and overlap. But social media is also really good if you want to network with brands, if you want to do, you know, a lot of the things that I said earlier in this video, like live wedding painting and stuff like that. And nowadays, a lot of people are using social media essentially as their portfolio, and it's kind of passing sometimes. So keep that in mind. But I will warn you, with social media, there are so many platforms to choose from nowadays, and it is nearly impossible to be present on all of those while living your life, while maintaining your mental health, and while trying to be an artist. So pick and choose what ones work for you. You can't do them all. Just decide what ones you like the best. The next way to make money as an artist is also a marketing thing. It is called affiliate marketing. So if you take the route of having your artwork on social media, or you create YouTube videos, chances are other creative people are going to follow you. They're gonna watch your art journey. They're gonna be curious about what types of art supplies you use. So affiliate marketing is really cool because you can pretty much link the products that you naturally use. And what happens is when a person clicks on your link, it's going to take them to the product that you recommended. And usually cookies are tracking what that person is doing. So say they click away from that product, but they're still on the website that you recommended. Some of these websites will track that customer for 30 days, and whatever they buy within that time frame, you get like a 1% or 5% commission on that. And I think it's really cool because as a small business owner, that really helps you out. When I go to buy art supplies on Amazon, I love to go to other YouTubers who are using Amazon affiliate links because I want to support them, especially if I'm buying something really expensive like a new camera or a large set of colored pencils, and I know that that person will get a commission. Like, I'm totally going to do it. Now, different websites have different affiliate marketing policies, so not all of them are going to have like the 30-day cookie thing to get you a commission. But I have found that Amazon's affiliate program is really helpful. And I like telling people the art supplies that I use anyway. So, I mean, may as well earn a small commission if I can. It does not change the price for the consumer at all. But for you, the person who's recommending the product, you're essentially just getting rewarded like pennies for recommending something on their website. It's a little different than a sponsorship, but you do have to be transparent about using affiliate links. So pay attention to my YouTube videos. When I link products, if you scroll all the way to the bottom of my videos, I have a little disclaimer that says product links may be affiliate links, and that's all that is. Number 20, license your artwork. This one is a really broad career opportunity. But have you ever walked into a place like Target and you saw this really cool graphic t-shirt and you're just like, wow, it'd be really cool to have my art in here? In comes art licensing. So basically, you can do just that. You can license your artwork to a brand for them to manufacture it on different items. You're essentially like renting your artwork to them, and they can print it on whatever, you know. Like another really common one for this is greeting cards. Say you walk down the greeting card aisle and you're trying to find a birthday card for your mom. Chances are all those cards you're seeing are licensed by certain artists. A lot of artists that I follow on Instagram actually do art licensing for greeting card companies. It's a pretty big one. But there are so many different areas that you can choose with this one. For instance, like clothing, home decor, the list goes on. If you pursue this one, in some instances you may need an agent, but in all instances, make sure you have a contract and you negotiate your royalties. You have to be comfortable with negotiating and making sure you're being paid fairly. So if this interests you, make sure you do your research on what is a fair royalty percentage and try to go with that. I will link an article down below that gives you some information on art licensing, but I will also recommend Skillshare because there are classes on there that talk about art licensing, and I think that would help you too. Yeah, there's so many resources out there to help you. Number 21, become an assistant for an influencer. We here in this little art community on YouTube, we're just like a small fragment of YouTube. There are so many other communities out there, and a lot of YouTubers need somebody who is able to create artwork for things that they need. For instance, if you've ever seen a really big YouTuber and they're cranking out a lot of videos, you might wonder, like, did they design all their own thumbnails or do they have like a person who does it? Some people have assistants that design their thumbnails, design video inserts, they edit their videos for them, they create their logo for their brand, they help them design merch, the list goes on. So if you don't want to run your own business and you like working under somebody else, that's a really good option. Number 21, video game design. So this one I think is really cool because there's so many different career options and teamwork that goes into making a video game functional. Really, there's a lot of artists that work really hard to bring those things to life. You know, you have to start with concept design and then figuring out the style of a video game, all the way to like animating everything and bringing it to life. So what does that mean? As I said, there's a team of people who make all of this possible, and the career opportunities with this are pretty vast. You could be an art director, a storyboard artist, an animator, a 3D environment artist, a texture map artist, a character animator. You can even make like character models. The list goes on, and if this one interests you, I think you should stay until the end of the video because I'm going to recommend a book. And actually for like most of the points in this video, this book will be helpful for you. But yeah, stay till the end of the video and I'll recommend something, and there's a lot more information in the book. I was just reading it earlier today. Number 23 is painting murals. Have you ever been like walking in a city and you see this like really bizarre, beautiful, colorful mural that spans up the whole side of a building and you're just like in awe? And then you think like, what if I did that? Like that would be really cool. Or like maybe you're on vacation in Florida and you walk into a restaurant and you see this like mural of a bunch of sea turtles underwater and you're like, wow, that would be so fun to do. In comes murals. Now murals are really cool because you can do exterior murals and you can do interior murals. And there's so many different styles you can do. Like you could do more of like the graffiti route or a cartoony route or realistic. There's so many options. If you do indoor murals, you can do like restaurants, or you can get really personal and do murals in people's nurseries. That's a really big thing. I think there's always a demand for murals, and especially with like Instagram now, I think murals are definitely one of those you either love it or you hate it type things. Like for me, I painted a mural in a nursery once and I realized I hate this. I hate it. This is not my thing. I am more of a canvas person. I would rather do paintings. But some people like thrive on it. So yeah, you just have to figure out, do I enjoy large scale pieces of art like this, or do I like doing stuff on canvases? It's okay if you like certain things and not others. That's why with art, it's really cool that we have lots of career opportunities. Number 24 is freelance art and illustration and animation on websites like Fiverr. I think this is really cool, especially if you enjoy working from home. But I will say, I think competition on these sites is pretty high nowadays because a lot more people know about them. And so you have to compete with other people's price ranges that they are setting. And this is similar to commissions, except a platform is providing everything you need for you, you know, like payment methods and putting your name on a list, you know, so people can find you. And that way you're not doing the work of like constantly trying to find people for commissions. It's like all right there. Number 25 is editorial illustration. And earlier in this video, I mentioned medical illustration. This one is really similar because editorial illustration essentially analyzes a specific text and provides an image to enrich the reader's experience. So have you ever been like reading a cookbook and there is no picture next to the recipe? Like I always skip that page. Like why would I want to make that casserole if I can't even tell what it looks like? Like that's boring. But if you see a picture of this beautifully illustrated, decadent cake right next to the recipe, it makes it a little more appealing to want to make the recipe and understand the recipe and remember the recipe later. An artist did that. An artist brought that to life for you. And I really think editorial illustration is cool because I honestly did not know this was a thing until I found Kendall Hilgis on YouTube. She's an amazing person and she is so informative when it comes to this specific type of art. So I will link her YouTube channel down below. She illustrates a lot of like realistic food and she's phenomenal. So I will leave this one to her to explain because she knows what she's talking about. She's the guru of editorial illustration. And yeah, I just love her. But I do have to say, if you are interested in this one, there are so many opportunities available to you, and it's really eye-opening. Like, this can be a video in itself. Kendall has made tons of videos about this, so check her out. Number 26 is product illustration / package design. So Kendall actually dips into this one too, so I'm just gonna piggyback off the last one. Have you ever walked through a grocery store and you saw a really cute box of cereal with illustrations on it? Or maybe you're at Sephora and you pick out a certain eyeshadow palette because the packaging is just so cute and the illustrations on it are adorable. And artists did those, and that's a career field. Number 27, for ways to make money as an artist. For some people, may seem like common sense, and for some people, this one is very overwhelming, kind of terrifying, and some artists completely avoid this category because it's very daunting. But invest in yourself. There are many layers to this, so I want to explain what I mean and convey this well. This could be an entire video on its own, but I want to mention this one because you cannot have your business without you. You are the essential element to your business, and many artists are self-employed. And so this is really important. So what does it mean to invest in yourself? As I said, there are many components to this one, like setting aside money to pay quarterly taxes. Maybe you want to protect yourself, your assets and your business, so you get an LLC or an S-Corp. This one is very confusing, and many artists pay somebody to figure that out for them, so they're following all the legality things that come along with it. Taxes can also be confusing if you are self-employed, so you may hire a CPA to do that stuff for you and help you with it. But investing in yourself goes beyond that too, because if you're an artist, and especially if you have plans to sell your artwork, it's going to be very important for you to invest in high quality art supplies, because your customers are probably going to want to buy something from a professional artist that was created with light fast materials and high quality art supplies so that it lasts when it hangs up on their wall. But as I said before, if you want to start an art store, you might have to invest in equipment like printers, cutting machines, button presses, all that stuff. Paying for a website domain. There's so much that goes into it, and there are so many overhead costs that you have to calculate throughout the year. If you decide to pursue YouTube, you have to invest in a good camera, different lenses, tripods, editing software, a computer that has enough RAM to run your editing software, good lights. There are so many costs, and mics and audio and all that stuff too. So that's another way to invest in yourself. It really does, the saying, it takes money to make money, really is true, especially when it comes to running your own business. So definitely keep that in mind. But when I say invest in yourself too, I also mean invest in you. Once you start a business, it is not a good idea to just get comfortable, enjoy the sales, and sit there. You need to research trends. You need to figure out ways to maybe pivot if things go wrong, expand on your knowledge. So that means maybe taking a college class or just taking different courses, buying literature to soak up, read. It's really important to keep learning. And so investing in yourself that way is also very important. And also, if you are going to be self-employed as an artist, that means you're going to have to figure out health insurance unless you have a spouse that has a plan that allows you to be on it. And you're also going to have to figure out investing for retirement. And that's a really important one that doesn't get discussed very often, but you want to make sure you have money set aside for retirement if you are able. Because over time, what's going to happen is the money that you have in your retirement account is going to grow. and you're going to get dividends, and those dividends are going to reinvest. And also just, shares of stuff just go up over time too. So in a nutshell, keeping this in very simple terms, your money is going to keep making money for you. And if you geek out over this kind of thing, you may also want to set up, a brokerage account if you want to keep investing. I will link Debt Free Millennials down below. Her name is Justine. She's really good with the finance end of things, especially with running your own business. So I highly recommend checking her out if you want to learn more about the financial aspect of things. There's so many other YouTubers too. But yeah, I will just say that I understand that this whole category can be very intimidating for people. So, it's okay to learn as you go. And it is okay to ask for help if you need it. Like, I have a CPA. I have paid people to take care of some of this stuff for me because it is a lot and it's overwhelming. And have grace with yourself too. There's a lot of information out there, and it is a lot to retain, especially as a small business owner. And it can be stressful. So have grace with yourself, and just remember, your business cannot run without you. So investing in yourself is incredibly important. Number 28 is fashion and lifestyle illustration. So if you love clothes and you love fashion and you're always keeping up with latest trends, maybe you find yourself drawing different people and adjusting their outfit to make it cuter, and you're always like window shopping online or buying new outfits. This may be a good career option for you because it's already, taking two interests and merging them into one. Fashion illustrators basically specialize in drawing clothed figures and accessories, and then they kind of do it in a specific style to cater to like advertising agencies and magazines, retailers, and other places that want to use these illustrations. Lifestyle illustration is similar in the sense that you are creating this stuff in a specific style, and a bunch of different places can use your artwork. Now, both of these fields can take a decent amount of research and imagination to bring them to life. For instance, with fashion illustration, you may be presented with just a picture of a garment, and you are told to make something with that. What? That means you have to decide how that garment is going to drape off of the figure. You have to decide, where is the light source coming from? How is it going to appear when I draw this? And you essentially have to cater to the unique needs of each project. This is really cool though, because there's a lot of opportunity for your work to appear in fashion blogs, on fashion websites, in magazines, and a lot of other places. According to the Graphics Artist Guild, in 2013, illustrators were able to charge around $250 to $500 for a quick illustration. So this does seem to be a very lucrative career path if you choose to go this route. Fashion illustration is also really cool because, as I said, you get to do work for like different publications like magazines and stuff. But you also may get the opportunity to attend fashion events, like fashion shows and stuff. And if that's really up your alley and that is something you're passionate about, this is a career opportunity that may be worth looking into. So stay to the end of this video because, again, I'm going to recommend a book that lists tons of different career opportunities for artists and ways you can make money. And I think, it'll be really helpful for you. Number 29 is website design. If you are a tech-savvy person that understands computers and coding and all that stuff, and you enjoy art, this is a really cool opportunity because this is a very high-demand field, I think. There are websites where you can kind of build a website intuitively, but many companies may want custom websites to be built, and they want a very intuitive user interface. And if you enjoy, figuring out all those specifics while making a website look presentable, making it look good, and having it be a good experience for the users who are gonna be on it, this is a really good one to consider. This one goes way above my head. My husband very gracefully designed my website for me, for my shop. And for that, I am so thankful. But it takes a very special kind of person to be able to understand the technical end of things while implementing art. And I have to commend people who do website design. Like, I think you're the coolest people, for real. Number 30, be kind to yourself and remember to rest. Now you may be wondering, Mira, why are you mentioning this one if this isn't going to directly earn me money? Well, at the beginning of this video, I recommended practicing and keeping creating art and having a portfolio because that's going to build a foundation for you. But I'm going to end this video with what I think is the most important part. It is very easy to get caught up in hustle culture and to become almost addicted to creating and setting goals and trying to achieve those goals, and to always think bigger and bigger and bigger, and what can I do next? What can I do next? And then in comes the guilt because you're not doing enough, or maybe you finally decide to rest and there's the guilt again. What? It is vital to take care of yourself so you don't crash and burn, because burnout is real, and once it hits, sometimes it's really hard to recover from that. It's really, really important to listen to your body, to listen to your mental health, to make sure you are prioritizing other interests in other areas of your life and not just creating and creating all the time, because you're gonna wear yourself thin. It's also really important to maintain your social life, stay in touch with your family, your friends, spend quality time with them. Do things that recharge you and pour back into your cup, because you can't keep pouring out creatively and creating if you're not pouring into yourself. Your identity and your self-worth is not measured by your job, and it's not measured by your level of productivity. You are worth so much more than that. And taking care of yourself is so, so, so important. And it's going to leak into other areas of your life. So don't forget that. I am mentioning this point because this is a huge struggle for many creative people, and I think it's something that you have to keep going back at, reassessing, recalibrating your mindset, and remembering to rest. Now, there were a couple times in this video that I hinted at something else, and I said, wait until the end, watch until the end, because I have a resource for you. And I just want to preface this by saying this video is not sponsored at all. I really just want to help people out there, I guess, see the options that are available to them. And as I said, I'm just nicking the tip of the iceberg and sharing a couple options with you. And this is a long video. There's so much out there. But there are hundreds of other options, as I said, if not thousands. So I'm gonna recommend this book to you. I learned about this book from Kendall Hilgis, and it was very instrumental for me. I still refer to it to this day. And yeah, if there's any book out there that I'm going to recommend for different types of art, it is absolutely this one. So this book is from the Graphic Artists Guild, and this is their Pricing and Ethical Guidelines Handbook. And what this is a fantastic resource that lists tons of different types of art that you can go into. But what's really cool about this book too is, as I said, this video is titled Ways to Make Money as an Artist. And if you are unsure about pricing, what to charge, how much money to make with different types of art, there are handy dandy charts in this book that break down like average ranges of what you can charge for specific types of artwork, for specific types of consumers and licensing and all that intimidating lingo out there. This book will break it down for you. And I'm not being paid to say this. I just say this to help people out there, because this video has honestly just been on my heart for a long time. And while I can't go into specifics on every little art opportunity that is out there, this book dives deeper. It is a great starting point. If you see something you like, keep doing your research, because there's so much out there that's available to you. Art does not have to be a starving career. I honestly hate that stereotype. I think it is a very successful career. And as I said, there's so many options available to you. So again, I will link other resources down below to help you. I will link other YouTubers' channels that I think will be helpful for you. And yeah, I hope this video got your wheels turning. And if you're considering pursuing art as a career or picking up a side hustle, I hope this inspired you. If you stuck around this whole time, thank you, because this is probably the longest video I have ever made, and my voice is very tired now, but I really just hope this makes people out there excited about art and creativity and all the options that are out there and how necessary artists are to so many other fields in this world. Thank you for watching. I'll see you whenever I see you. Bye.